Hello, YouTube. Finished a book. This was a very short book. Arab Voices Speak to American Hearts. And this is one of the books that we picked up at Books A Million. That's the way it was cheap. I didn't read any of it while I was there at Books A Million. And it turns out to be not that great of a book. I mean, it wasn't bad. And when I say that, keep in mind that it's probably a hell of a lot better than I would do if I decided to write a book. And I think this author, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name, it looks like she wrote this herself. Like, didn't have any help. And what it is she went to the Middle East. She went to Arabic countries and picked 12 people, sort of at random, and interviewed them. I mean, the premise of the book was she was going to get questions from Americans to ask these Arabic men and women. And one was a kind of a young guy, like 18. It wasn't bad. I got a little bit of notes here. No reading at all. The book was published in 2005, 198 pages. And, when I discovered that the book wasn't really all that good, I just kind of hammered away in it and finished it. In the beginning, she kind of summarizes what some of these Arabic people are concerned about. And pretty much every one of them mentioned the business in Palestine and America's, 100% support of Israel. Whatever, Israel can do no wrong. And yeah, every one of them, it comes down to when they start talking about terrorism. None of these people were in favor of terrorism. They all condemned it. But they said that it's probably going to continue as long as the Palestinian issue keeps going the way it goes. And it's actually getting worse there. Every week the Palestinians lose more territory, and if the Israelis want to boot them out of where they're living, they just boot them out and take over. So towards the beginning of the book, she says, if you would like to really know the entire history of the Palestinian thing, you get a book called Bible and Sword by Barbara Tuchman, Tuchman. I've read her before. I've read that author before. A book called A Distant Mirror, which is about the Middle Ages, and it was a fantastic book. She's a great author. So I am going to look for that. The book itself is falling apart. It's not that old, 2005. It's one of these, it's kind of a cross between a paperback and a hardcover. I had to be careful with it while I was reading it because I could hear it coming away from the binding. Second footnote, page 51, so I guess there is a little bit of reading. I can't remember what this is. Oh, in 1781, the German scholar A.L. Schlosser coined the term Semitic to identify a family of related languages, including Arabic, Hebrew, and Aramaic. He derived the word from Sam, Shem in Hebrew, one of the three sons of the prophet Noah. And then in parentheses, it says PBUH, capital letters. That means peace be upon him. And then my note here is growing up in Dearborn. When you grow up in Dearborn, Michigan, your Arabs are not some exotic race of people because Dearborn is full of Arabic people. My wife is actually half Lebanese. Her father was Lebanese, and he was a very nice gentleman. Um, that's the way it is when you're in Dearborn. I remember I was lost once over by the Ford, Wyoming drive-in, and it's right on the border of Dearborn and Detroit. And I kept driving back and forth between Detroit and Dearborn, and that's the east end of Dearborn where all the Arabic people live. And you could tell instantly when you crossed the border because Detroit is a kind of a shithole, and and when you crossed back into Dearborn, all the stores were open, all the stores looked very nice, all the homes were well kept, and even the east end of Dearborn is Arabic people that have been here for a long time, like generations. Now, like where my house is in Melvindale, Michigan, Yemenis have been moving in there, and they're actually fantastic neighbors. They stick to themselves. They will not own dogs, so there's no barking dogs in their yard, and they don't even drive everywhere. The Yemenis, when they go shopping,